My beloved child, I will not wait another second. I am speaking now because this moment matters. You did not arrive here by accident, and you did not press play out of habit. Something in you needed to hear these words even if you could not name it. There has been a quiet urgency in your heart, a feeling that time is moving but something inside you has been standing still. I see it. I feel it. And I will not delay speaking to you any longer. You have been holding your breath in ways you don't even realize. Waiting for a sign. Waiting for relief. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for permission to believe again. There are questions you have carried late into the night. Questions you rarely speak out loud because you are tired of explaining your pain. You wonder how much longer you can keep being strong, how much longer you can keep hoping without feeling fully. My beloved child, I know that wait. I have counted every second of your waiting, and none of it has been wasted. This message is for you because your heart is tender right now. You may feel worn down, or restless, or quietly afraid that nothing will change. You may feel like life has been telling you to be patient while your soul has been crying out for movement. Hear me clearly. I am not distant from your struggle. I am not overlooking your prayers. I am not asking you to endure endlessly without purpose. I am speaking now because your spirit needs to know that you are not forgotten, and you are not late. There are moments when I interrupt the noise, the doubt, and the endless inner dialogue, and this is one of those moments. I am stepping into the space where fear has been whispering lies. Fear has told you that if nothing has happened yet, nothing ever will. It has told you that you missed your chance, that you waited too long, that you are asking for too much. Those whispers are not truth. They are not from me, and I will not let them have the final word over you. Listen closely, my beloved child. I am not waiting for you to be stronger, braver, or more certain. I am not waiting for you to have it all figured out. I am speaking now because love does not hesitate when a child is hurting. Love moves. Love speaks. Love steps in. And my love for you is not passive. It is active, present, and intentional. This is not just encouragement. This is alignment. Something in you is being awakened as you listen, even if you cannot explain it yet. A sense that you are being seen more deeply than you expected. A quiet stirring that says, "This is for me." That stirring is not your imagination. It is your spirit recognizing my voice. I will not wait another second because you have waited long enough. This moment is sacred. These words are reaching you exactly where you are. Breathe. Let your shoulders relax. Let your heart soften. I am here with you now, and what comes next will not arrive empty or late. It will arrive wrapped in purpose, guided by love, and held securely in my hands. My beloved child, before your finger touched the screen, before your eyes began to follow these words, you were already on my heart. Long before this moment formed in time, I knew exactly when you would need to hear me speak this way. Nothing about this encounter is random. Even the smallest details of your life are known to me, including the ones you believe no one notices. I notice. I always have. I know the exact thoughts that were circling in your mind just before this message began. I know the emotion you tried to push down so you could keep going. I know the sigh you released when you realized how tired you truly are. You may think others see you functioning, smiling, surviving, but I see beneath all of that. I see the part of you that has been quietly asking, does anyone really understand what I'm carrying? My beloved child, I understand completely. You were not overlooked when strength was being handed out. You were not skipped when purpose was assigned. You were not forgotten while others seemed to move forward. I have been watching over you with care that never sleeps. Even when you felt invisible, even when your efforts went unnoticed, even when your prayers seemed to echo back in silence, my eyes were still fixed on you. Not once did I look away. There are moments when you wonder if you matter as much as others, if your story carries the same weight, if your pain is significant enough to be seen. Let me speak clearly into that uncertainty. You matter deeply. Your story is precious. Your pain has never been small to me. I do not measure hearts the way the world does. I do not rush past tears just because they are quiet. I do not ignore wounds just because they are hidden. I have been present in every season of your life, even the ones you wish you could erase. I was there in the moments you questioned yourself. I was there when you felt misunderstood. I was there when you felt like you were giving more than you were receiving. And I was there in the moments you didn't think you could take another step but did anyway. That strength you showed was not accidental. I was holding you up when you felt like you were holding yourself together. You may feel as though you arrived at this message out of desperation, curiosity, or boredom. But I tell you this with certainty. You arrived here because your heart is ready to hear truth without fear, ready to receive comfort without conditions, ready to be reminded that you are not walking alone, even when the path feels isolating. This is not about coincidence. This is about connection. I know there are parts of your life you keep revisiting in your mind, wondering if you should have chosen differently, spoken sooner, waited longer, or tried harder. Those thoughts can be heavy, and they can make you feel like you are behind or off course. My beloved child, you are not behind. You are exactly where I can reach you, exactly where growth is still possible, exactly where healing can still begin. Nothing about your journey has disqualified you from what I am doing. Even now, as you listen, I am drawing closer to the places in you that feel fragile. I am not rushing you. I am not demanding change. I am simply reminding you of who you are to me. You are my child. You are deeply loved. You are known in ways that go far beyond what you show the world. And you are safe to rest in that truth. Let these words settle gently into your spirit. Let them quiet the noise that has been competing for your attention. You do not need to figure everything out in this moment. You do not need to make big decisions right now. All you need to do is stay present, stay open, and stay willing to listen. I am speaking to you because I care, because I see you, and because what you are stepping into next will require you to remember that you were never alone to begin with. My beloved child, I see how long you have been waiting. Not just waiting on circumstances to change, but waiting on your heart to feel safe enough to hope again. I have watched the way you kept showing up even when answers were slow. I have seen the prayers you whispered instead of shouted because you were too tired to explain yourself anymore. You did not imagine that weariness. It was real, and it mattered to me. There were days when you told yourself to be patient while something inside you felt stretched thin. Nights when you replayed the same questions, wondering if your endurance was strength or simply survival. I know how heavy that confusion can be. Waiting can feel noble on the outside while feeling lonely on the inside. And yet, through every moment of delay, I was never absent. I was shaping you in ways you could not yet see. My beloved child, waiting has not been punishment. It has been preparation. Not preparation that breaks you down, but preparation that deepens you. You are learning how to listen beyond noise, how to trust without guarantees, how to remain tender in a world that rewards hardness. Those lessons were not small. They were sacred, and they were never wasted. I know there were moments you questioned whether I had forgotten the timeline of your life. moments when you compared your pace to others and felt left behind. Hear me now with clarity and peace. I have never been late with you. Every pause had purpose. Every delay had direction. Even when you could not feel progress, growth was still taking place beneath the surface. You did not wait because you were weak. You waited because you were faithful to your own heart. You waited because something in you knew there was more, even when you couldn't see it yet. That quiet perseverance is precious to me. I honor it. I protect it. And I am responding to it now. And these words reach you, something is shifting. Not all at once, not with chaos, but with intention. The waiting season is giving way to understanding. Not everything will suddenly make sense, but your heart will begin to feel steadier, lighter, more anchored. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. If these words are resonating deeply with your spirit, let this moment be shared. Bless this message with a like so it can travel further. Hype this video so it reaches hearts that are waiting just like you were. Share it with someone who needs to know they are not forgotten. And stay connected by subscribing, because I will continue to speak comfort, clarity, and hope into places that feel silent. When you engage, you are not just responding to a video. You are helping my voice reach others who are still holding their breath. Now rest here for a moment. You do not need to rush ahead. You have done enough waiting, enough striving, enough caring. Let yourself be present. I am with you in this transition, and I am gentle with every step you take. You are not late. You are not overlooked. And you are not alone. My beloved child, as you feel this assurance settling in your heart, understand this. When you help this message move forward, you are helping light reach souls who are still waiting in the dark. I say to you, a seed is sown, so shall harvest rise, and this seed carries healing far beyond what your eyes can see. I am speaking directly to you now. This is your moment to let love flow through your hands. When you give through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description and QR code, you are opening a river that carries hope to many. Do not delay what love is urging you to release. I bless every gift you place in my hands and multiply it with peace, provision, and joy. Rise now and act. Let this mission move forward through you. My beloved child, I will not delay what your heart has cried for. Hear that slowly, and let it settle where disappointment once lived. I know how many times you told yourself to be realistic, how often you lowered your expectations so the fall would not hurt as much. I saw you adjust your prayers, not because your desire changed, but because you were trying to protect your heart from another moment of silence. I understand why you did that, and I want you to know this. I am not offended by your honesty, and I am not distant from your longing. There are cries that never make it into words, cries that lie quietly in the chest, heavy and unresolved. Those cries reach me, every single one. You never needed perfect language or perfect faith from me to hear you. I listen for the trembling of your spirit, not the polish of your sentences. And I am responding not because you begged correctly, but because I love you completely. My beloved child, delay is not denial, and silence is not rejection. What felt like waiting was often protection. What felt like nothing was happening was actually me holding back what would have overwhelmed you before you were ready. You were growing capacity even when you thought you were losing time. You were learning discernment even when you thought you were losing direction. Nothing about your journey has been accidental. I know you have wondered if your heart asked for too much, if your dreams were too fragile, too bold, or too late. Let me speak plainly to that fear. I do not give desires only to mock them. I do not awaken hunger only to starve it. When I place something in your heart, I remain responsible for it, and I do not abandon what I begin. There is a difference between rushing and moving, and I am not rushing you. I am moving with intention, wisdom, and care. I am not tearing open doors that would wound you. I am opening pathways that will sustain you. You may not see every step yet, but you will feel a shift inside you, a steadiness where there was once strain, a quiet confidence where there was once doubt. That is my peace making room for what comes next. My beloved child, you do not have to brace yourself for disappointment in order to be wise. You are allowed to hope without apology. You are allowed to believe without fear. You are allowed to receive without earning. I am not asking you to convince yourself that everything will be easy. I am asking you to trust that you will not face what is coming alone. I see the way you have learned to survive by staying guarded. That guardedness kept you safe for a season, but it does not need to lead you forward. I am gently inviting you to loosen your grip on control, not because I want you vulnerable, but because I want you free. Freedom does not come from predicting every outcome. It comes from knowing who walks with you through them. I am not delaying because I am unsure. I am not hesitating because I am indifferent. I am precise, and I am kind. What unfolds next will meet you with clarity you did not expect and support you did not plan for. It will not demand perfection from you. It will ask only for honesty and trust. My beloved child, you have not misread my heart. You have not imagined my care. You have not been foolish for holding on. What you have been waiting for is not drifting farther away. It is aligning. Even now, things are moving in places you cannot see. Conversations are shifting. Circumstances are adjusting, and hearts are being prepared, including yours. So breathe again. Not the shallow breath of endurance, but the deeper breath of assurance. I am aware of the timing of your life, and I am attentive to the details that matter to you. I will not delay what your heart has cried for, because I know when love must act. And I am acting with you, for you, and ahead of you. My beloved child, I know the moment you almost gave up. Not the dramatic moment others might imagine, but the quiet one that happened inside you. The moment when you felt tired of explaining, tired of hoping, tired of holding yourself together. The moment when you asked yourself if it would hurt less to stop expecting anything at all. I was there with you in that breath, in that pause, in that heaviness you carried without words. You did not fail in that moment. You did not disappoint me. You did not step out of love or purpose. You were simply human, and you were exhausted. I saw how you tried to keep going, even as something in you felt frayed. I saw how you told yourself to be strong one more time, even when strength felt like a language you no longer spoke fluently. And I did not turn away from you then. I leaned closer. There is a tenderness in the places where you almost let go. Those moments reveal how deeply you cared, how sincerely you tried, how much you wanted things to be different. Giving up crossed your mind not because you lacked faith, but because you had spent so long believing without relief. That matters to me. Your endurance matters. Your honesty matters. Even your doubt matters, because it tells the story of a heart that has been stretched, not a heart that has been closed. My beloved child, you may remember that moment with shame, wishing you had been stronger or more patient. Release that burden now. I am not keeping a record of how close you came to quitting. I am honoring the fact that you stayed. Even if you stayed quietly, even if you stayed without enthusiasm, even if you stayed only because you did not know what else to do, you stayed. And I was holding you when you did. I know there were thoughts you did not want to think. Thoughts that said, what if nothing changes? Or what if this is all there is? Those thoughts scared you because they felt like betrayal of your own hope. But I was not threatened by them. I was not offended by them. I was listening through them. I was listening for the part of you that still wanted life to mean more, still wanted healing to arrive, still wanted light to break through. That part of you never disappeared. When you almost gave up, you did not fall out of my care. You fell deeper into it. I wrapped my presence around the places where you felt weakest, even if you could not sense it at the time. Strength does not always look like pressing forward with confidence. Sometimes strength looks like surviving the day without answers. Sometimes it looks like getting up when you would rather stay down. Sometimes it looks like simply breathing and choosing not to disappear. My beloved child, do not judge yourself for that moment. Let me reinterpret it for you. That was not the end of your story. It was a turning point of honesty. It was the moment when you stopped pretending you were fine and allowed yourself to feel the weight of what you were carrying. That honesty created space for healing. That vulnerability invited my nearness in a deeper way. I have not forgotten how you held on in that season. I have not dismissed the tears you wiped away quickly so no one would ask questions. I have not overlooked the nights you lay awake, wondering if you still had the courage to hope again. I was counting those moments, not to measure your weakness, but to honor your resilience. You did not break. You bent, you struggled, you questioned, but you did not break. And now, my beloved child, I want you to see yourself the way I see you. Not as someone who almost failed, but as someone who endured more than they ever thought they could. Not as someone who doubted too much, but as someone who kept their heart open in the face of uncertainty. That moment you almost gave up did not disqualify you. It revealed the depth of your humanity and the strength of your spirit. You are still here. You are still listening. And that tells me everything I need to know about what is possible for you next. My beloved child, even the silence was never absence. I know how silence can feel heavier than pain, how unanswered prayers can echo louder than rejection. There were moments when you searched the quiet for signs of me and felt nothing but stillness. You wondered if I had stepped back, if I had grown distant, if your voice no longer reached me. I want you to hear this clearly now. I was never gone, not for a single breath of your life. Silence is not the same as abandonment, though it can feel that way when your heart is tired. I know how your mind tried to fill the gaps, how it created stories to explain the waiting. Stories that said you were being ignored, overlooked, or quietly set aside. Those stories were born from pain, not truth. I was closer in those silent moments than you realize. There are works I do that cannot be rushed with words. There are changes that must happen beneath the surface before they can be seen above it. Like roots growing deep into the soil, much of what mattered most was happening where you could not observe it. You were being strengthened in ways that would not collapse under pressure later. You were being prepared to carry what you once only imagined. My beloved child, silence does not mean inactivity. While you waited, I was aligning. While you questioned, I was protecting. While you felt forgotten, I was shaping circumstances, timing, and hearts, including yours. I know it did not feel gentle. Growth rarely does. But it was purposeful, and it was guided by love. I saw how the quiet tested you, how it tempted you to doubt your worth, your calling, your place in my care. You wondered if you had done something wrong, if you had failed to hear me correctly, if your faith was insufficient. Let me lift that burden from you now. The silence was not correction. It was cultivation. You were not being pushed away, you were being drawn deeper. There are conversations I was having on your behalf that you could not hear. Doors I was keeping closed because opening them too soon would have harmed you. paths I was redirecting quietly so you would not walk into what you were not yet ready to face. Protection often feels like delay when you do not know what you are being protected from. My beloved child, I know you would have preferred explanation over silence. I know clarity would have eased your fear, but sometimes explanation would only satisfy the mind while leaving the heart unchanged. I was working at the level of your spirit, where lasting peace is formed. I was teaching you to rest without reassurance, to trust without constant confirmation, to remain open without guarantees. Even in the quiet, I was listening to you. Every sigh, every unspoken plea, every moment you sat with confusion instead of answers. I was not measuring your patience. I was holding your heart. And I was careful not to overwhelm you with what you were not yet ready to receive. Silence also gave you space to hear yourself, to recognize what truly mattered, to see where fear had been shaping your decisions, and where love still needed room to grow. Those realizations were not wasted. They were milestones, even if they did not feel like progress at the time. My beloved child, I do not disappear when things grow quiet. I do not withdraw when you feel uncertain. I remain steady, constant, and attentive. The same hands that held you in the noise were holding you in the stillness. The same love that spoke before was present when words paused. Now that you are hearing me again, do not look back on the silence with resentment. Look back with understanding. It did not break you. It refined you. It did not empty you. It made room. And it did not mean I was far away. It meant I was working closer than ever, in places only love can reach. You are not emerging from silence alone. You are emerging with deeper roots, clear vision, and a heart that has learned how to listen beyond sound. And I am here with you, just as I always have been. My beloved child, this is why I am speaking now. Not because you suddenly became worthy, and not because I just noticed your struggle. I am speaking now because the season has shifted, and your heart is ready in a way it was not before. There are moments when timing matters more than explanation, when a word spoken too early would confuse rather than heal. This is not one of those moments. This is the moment when your spirit can finally receive what has been forming. You have lived through enough to understand depth now. You have felt disappointment deeply enough to recognize sincerity. You have waited long enough to know the difference between noise and truth. That is why my voice is reaching you with clarity today. Not because you are fragile, but because you are grounded. Not because you are desperate, but because you are open. I know there were times you wanted me to speak sooner. Times you asked for direction, reassurance, or confirmation and felt met with stillness. What you did not see then is that your heart was still learning how to hear without fear. You were still untangling my voice from the echoes of past wounds, expectations, and disappointments. I waited, not to withhold love, but to protect your understanding of it. My beloved child, when I speak, I do not speak to overwhelm you. I speak to steady you. I speak to align what is inside you with what is unfolding around you. If I had spoken this clearly before, you might have doubted it, questioned it, or tried to force it into a shape that fit your fear. Now, you are listening differently. Now, you are hearing with a heart that has been softened, not hardened, by waiting. This moment is not about urgency that creates panic. It is about clarity that creates peace. I am not rushing you forward. I am inviting you to recognize that something new has already begun. Even if nothing around you looks dramatically different yet, something within you has shifted. You are less reactive, less desperate for control, more willing to trust without needing every detail. That is readiness. You may feel a quiet awareness growing, a sense that the ground beneath you is more stable than it was before. That is not imagination. That is alignment. You are standing in a place where fear no longer has the same authority over your decisions. It may still speak, but it no longer commands. Love is taking its place gently but firmly. My beloved child, I am speaking now because you no longer need to be convinced that you matter. You may still struggle, but you no longer question your worth at the deepest level. That shift is significant. It means you are ready to move forward without abandoning yourself. It means you are ready to receive without shrinking. It means you are ready to walk into what comes next with humility and confidence together. There are truths that only land when the heart is quiet enough to hold them. You have learned how to be still without giving up. You have learned how to listen without forcing answers. Those lessons have prepared you for this moment more than you realize. This is not a reward for suffering. It is a response to growth. I am also speaking now because the next steps will require trust more than certainty. You will not be handed a complete map. You will be invited to walk with me, step by step, learning as you go. If I had spoken earlier, you might have tried to plan every outcome. Now, you are learning how to stay present. That presence will keep you grounded as things begin to unfold. My beloved child, do not rush to label this moment. You do not need to decide what it means or how it ends. Simply recognize it for what it is, a turning point of awareness. A gentle but firm reminder that you are not alone, not forgotten, and not waiting in vain. I am speaking now because you are ready to hear without fear, to trust without force, and to move forward without abandoning peace. Stay with me here. Let the clarity settle. This is not the end of the story. It is the moment when the story begins to change direction. My beloved child, I am interrupting your doubt, not with force, but with truth spoken gently and steadily. Doubt has been loud in your mind for a long time. It learned the sound of your fears, memorized your disappointments, and used them to question everything good that tried to rise within you. I know how convincing it has been. I know how it spoke in your own voice, making it harder to recognize as something separate from you. That is why I am speaking now, to quiet what has been clouding your vision. Doubt told you to hesitate when hope tried to return. It warned you not to expect too much, not to trust too deeply, not to believe unless you had proof. It told you that disappointment was safer than faith, that guarding your heart was wisdom. I understand why you listened. Doubt often grows where pain once lived. But my beloved child, what once protected you does not have to lead you anymore. I am not disappointed in you for questioning. I am not threatened by your uncertainty. Doubt does not scare me, and it does not disqualify you. But I will not allow it to define your future. I'm interrupting it now because it has spoken long enough, and it has taken up space that belongs to peace. You may notice how doubt drains your energy, how it turns simple decisions into heavy battles, how it keeps you replaying old moments, searching for reasons to stay small. That is not clarity. That is fear wearing the mask of caution. I am here to gently remove that mask and remind you of what is real. My beloved child, truth does not rush you, but it does ground you. Truth does not shame you, but it strengthens you. And the truth is this: you are not foolish for hoping again. You are not naive for wanting more. You are not weak for needing reassurance. You are human, and you are loved beyond measure. Doubt told you that your past defines your limits. I tell you that your past has refined your wisdom. Doubt told you that mistakes disqualify you. I tell you that growth comes from learning, not perfection. Doubt told you that waiting means failure. I tell you that waiting hath been shaping endurance, and discernment within you. As I interrupt your doubt, you may feel a quiet resistance inside. That is natural. Doubt hath been familiar, and familiarity can feel like safety. But safety built on fear will always shrink you. I am inviting you into a different kind of safety now, one built on trust, presence, and love that does not disappear when questions arise. My beloved child, you do not have to fight doubt aggressively. You do not have to argue with every thought. Simply let my voice be louder. Let truth be steadier. When doubt whispers, return to what you know. You are still here, still growing, still open. That alone tells a powerful story. I know you have been cautious with your heart. I know you learned to pause before believing anything fully. That caution kept you from further pain for a time, but now it is keeping you from fully receiving what is meant to restore you. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom. I am asking you to release fear disguised as wisdom. My beloved child, peace is not found in controlling outcomes. Peace is found in trusting presence. You are not required to predict the future to walk forward. You are only asked to stay connected, attentive, and willing. I will meet you in each step, just as I have met you here. As doubt loosens its grip, you may feel unfamiliar openness. That openness is not weakness. It is courage returning quietly. It is your heart remembering how to breathe without bracing for impacts. I am with you in that adjustment. I will not rush you through it. Let this interruption settle gently. Let truth replace noise. Let peace take the space where fear once lived. You are not losing your discernment. You are gaining clarity. And I am here, steady and present, guiding you beyond doubt and into trust. My beloved child, you are not behind. I know how often that thought has visited you, quietly but persistently. It shows up when you compare your life to others, when milestones seem to pass you by, when time feels louder than hope. You look around and wonder if you missed something essential, if a wrong turn set you back too far to recover. I want you to hear me clearly now. You have not fallen behind in your life. That feeling did not come from truth. It came from pressure. Pressure to measure yourself by timelines that were never meant to define you. Pressure to explain your progress to a world that only sees outcomes, not endurance. I never asked you to run someone else's race, and I never measured your worth by speed. I measure by growth, by faithfulness, by the quiet courage it takes to keep going when the path is unclear. My beloved child, being behind assumes there is only one correct pace. There is not. Your journey has required pauses others did not need. Your heart has carried weights others never had to lift. You have learned lessons that cannot be rushed, wisdom that cannot be borrowed, strength that only comes through lived experience. That does not make you late. It makes you prepared in a different way. I know you replay moments in your mind, wondering what would have happened if you had decided differently. Those thoughts can be heavy, and they can steal your peace if you let them. But hear me. I am not bound by your past decisions. I am not limited by missed opportunities. I do not abandon my purpose because of detours. I weave even uncertainty into something meaningful. You may feel behind because you are standing in a season of rebuilding rather than arriving. Arrival looks impressive, but rebuilding creates depth. Arrival gets applause, but rebuilding forms character, discernment, and resilience. Do not despise the season that is quietly strengthening you. What feels slow now will support you later in ways you cannot yet imagine. My beloved child, you are not catching up. You are continuing. And continuing is holy work. Each step you take now is informed by what you have survived, not hindered by it. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience, from awareness, from a heart that knows what it needs and what it will no longer accept. I know there is grief in realizing life did not unfold the way you expected. That grief is valid. Let it move through you without turning into self-blame. You are allowed to mourn timelines that did not happen while still honoring the one you are living. We could exist together. Healing does not require denial. It requires compassion toward yourself. My beloved child, I do not see you as delayed. I see you as positioned. Positioned with insight you did not have before. Positioned with humility that keeps you grounded. Positioned with empathy that allows you to connect deeply with others. These are not weaknesses. They are strengths that will matter greatly as you move forward. When the thought arises that you are behind, pause and breathe. Ask yourself what that thought is demanding from you. Is it demanding perfection? Comparison? Hurry. Those demands are not from me. I lead with peace, not pressure. I guide with clarity, not urgency that breeds fear. You are allowed to move at the pace of healing. You are allowed to take time to integrate what you have learned. You are allowed to build a life that fits who you are becoming, not who you used to be. That is not falling behind. That is moving wisely. My beloved child, there is no deadline on becoming whole. There is no expiration on purpose. There is no moment when I look at you and decide it is too late. I am not watching the clock. I'm walking with you. And every step you take in truth, even small ones, is progress that matters. You are not behind. You are exactly where growth is still unfolding, where healing is still possible, and where the future is still open. Stay present. Stay gentle with yourself. I am guiding you forward, not measuring you against anyone else. My beloved child, I am stepping in now. Not later, not someday, not after you become more certain or more confident. I am stepping in now, right where you are, in the middle of your questions, your cautious hope, and your quiet longing. You do not need to clean up your thoughts or organize your future for me to move. My presence does not wait for perfection. It responds to openness. There are moments when intervention is not loud or dramatic, but deeply personal. This is one of those moments. I am not overturning your life in a single instant, but I am realigning it. Subtle shifts are taking place in your perspective, in your expectations, in the way you see yourself and what is possible. These shifts matter more than sudden change, because they last. My beloved child, I know you have learned to rely heavily on yourself. Circumstances taught you that you had to be strong, alert, and prepared. You became skilled at managing disappointment and adapting quickly. This strength carried you through, but it also exhausted you. I am stepping in now to share that weight, to loosen the grip of self-reliance that has been costing you peace. You may not see immediate evidence around you, but do not mistake subtlety for absence. When I step in, I often begin within. I steady your emotions. I quiet the inner noise. I bring clarity where confusion once lived. These interchanges prepare you to recognize external shifts when they come. Without them, you might miss what is meant for you or misunderstand its purpose. My beloved child, I am not stepping in to take control away from you. I am stepping in to walk with you. There is a difference. I respect your agency, your choices, your pace. I guide without forcing. I lead without pressuring. And as we move together, you will begin to feel less alone in decisions that once felt heavy. You may notice that situations which once triggered fear now feel less overwhelming. Conversations that once drained you now feel clearer. Choices that once paralyzed you now feel simpler. This is not because life has suddenly become easy. It is because you are no longer carrying it alone. My presence changes how weight is distributed. I know part of you is still watching carefully, waiting to see if this peace will last. That is understandable. You have learned caution through experience. But let me reassure you, I am not offering you a temporary comfort. I am establishing a steadier foundation. One that does not disappear when circumstances fluctuate. My beloved child, when I step in, I also begin to reorder priorities. What once felt urgent may lose its grip. What once felt insignificant may gain importance. This is not confusion. It is clarity settling in. You are learning to respond instead of react, to listen instead of rush, to trust instead of brace. If these words are grounding you, let them move beyond you. Bless this message with a like so it can reach more hearts that need reassurance. Like this video so it rises and finds those who feel unseen. Share it with someone who is quietly waiting for a sign. And subscribe to stay connected, because this space will continue to be a place where peace, truth, and encouragement meet you consistently. When you engage, you help create a path for others to hear what they need at the right time. My beloved child, I am stepping in now not to overwhelm you but to support you. Not to rush you but to guide you. Not to replace your strength but to renew it. You do not have to figure out the rest of the story today. You only need to stay present in this moment, where love is already at work. My beloved child, as you sense my nearness in this moment, know that when you act, you help my light reach those still searching. I speak this to you personally. What you release now becomes a seed that multiplies into hope for many. Just as rivers flow where channels are opened, you're giving through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description, and QR code opens pathways for healing words to travel farther. Do not hesitate when love calls you to respond. I bless what you give and return it with peace, provision, and purpose. Act now and let this work move forward through your obedience. My beloved child, what you thought was over is not finished. I know how final some moments felt to you, how certain endings seemed, how doors closing sounded like the last word on a chapter you cared deeply about. You mourned what you believed could never be recovered, and you tried to accept that some things were simply not meant to be. I saw that acceptance, and I know how much it cost you. But hear me now with a steady heart. Finality is not always truth. There are endings that are real, and there are endings that only feel real because you were too tired to keep imagining another way forward. You reached the limit of what you could see, not the limit of what was possible. When something fell apart, you assumed it was gone forever. But I do not measure completion the way you do. I am not confined by what appears broken or expired. My beloved child, there are dreams you buried gently because holding them hurt too much. There are hopes you set aside, not because they were wrong, but because you needed relief from disappointment. I honored that need. I did not judge you for letting go. Sometimes release is necessary for healing, but release does not always mean abandonment. It can mean rest before renewal. I want you to understand this clearly. I am not resurrecting what would harm you. I am not returning you to what you outgrew. What I am doing is deeper. I am restoring meaning, purpose, and possibility in ways that may not look identical to what you lost, but will carry the same heart, refined and strengthened. You may be tempted to dismiss this thought quickly, to protect yourself from hope. That instinct comes from pain, not wisdom. Wisdom listens before deciding. And I am asking you to listen now, not to rush into expectation, but to remain open. Something you believed was finished still carries life. It may not return in the same form, but it is not done shaping your future. My beloved child, I know you learned to say it is what it is, as a way to survive. That phrase helped you accept what you could not change at the time. But do not let survival language become a ceiling over your faith. Acceptance helped you endure, but it does not have to limit what comes next. You are allowed to grow beyond what once defined you. What felt like loss also created space. Space for clarity. Space for discernment. Space for strength you did not know you had. That space was not empty, it was being prepared. You were learning what you truly value, what you are no longer willing to sacrifice, and what you deserve to protect. These lessons were not small. They were foundational. My beloved child, I do not waste anything you have lived through. Even what ended painfully still serves a purpose in shaping your future. I am not asking you to reopen wounds. I am asking you to see them differently. Not as proof that you failed, but as evidence that you survived and learned. There is a difference between something being paused and something being finished. You assumed the pause meant an ending because the silence felt heavy. But silence does not always signal closure. Sometimes it signals transition. You were changing, and what comes next must meet who you are now, not who you were then. As you listen, you may feel a mixture of hope and caution. That is natural. You do not need to choose one or the other. You can hold both gently. I am not rushing you into belief. I am inviting you to recognize that your story is still unfolding, even in areas you thought were complete. My beloved child, do not close the door on possibility just because it once hurt to keep it open. Feel it has given you stronger hinges now. You are not as fragile as you were then. You are wiser, steadier, and more anchored in truth. What returns to you will meet that strength, not overwhelm it. What you thought was over is not finished. Not because everything will be restored exactly as it was, but because your life still carries forward momentum, meaning, and purpose. Stay open. Stay present. I am still writing, and this chapter is far from the end. My beloved child, I have been preparing more than you can see. While you focused on what felt stalled, I was working beyond the surface, arranging details you could not yet perceive. Preparation often happens quietly, away from attention, away from recognition. I know how uncomfortable that invisibility has been for you. You wondered if anything was truly happening, if effort without visible progress meant you were standing still. But what is hidden is not inactive. There are foundations that must be laid before anything lasting can stand. I was strengthening you in places that would one day carry weight. I was teaching you discernment so you would not settle for what looks right, but feels wrong. I was helping you recognize your own boundaries, your own needs, your own worth. These are not small lessons. They are the framework that protects what comes next. My beloved child, preparation often feels like delay because it asks for patience without applause. You were learning endurance without immediate reward. You were practicing trust without constant reassurance. You were growing capacity, even when you thought you were losing momentum. That growth did not announce itself loudly, but it changed you deeply. I know you questioned whether the work you were doing inside mattered. You wondered if anyone noticed the self-reflection, the healing, the effort to choose differently. I noticed. Every time you paused instead of reacting, every time you spoke honestly instead of hiding, every time you rested instead of pushing past exhaustion, something in you strengthened. Those moments were not wasted. They were shaping the person you are becoming. My beloved child, I was also preparing circumstances beyond you. Lining timing, adjusting paths, redirecting people and situations so they could meet you in healthier ways. You could not have controlled that, and you were never meant to. Some things require patience because they involve more than one heart, more than one choice, more than one moment of readiness. I was attentive to all of it. Preparation is rarely glamorous. It does not feel victorious. It often feels repetitive and uncertain. But it builds resilience that quick success cannot. It roots you deeply so you are not shaken when things begin to move. You are not being prepared for something fragile. You are being prepared for something that needs stability, wisdom, and presence. My beloved child, you have changed more than you realize. You no longer chase what once drained you. You no longer ignore what your intuition gently warns you about. You listen differently now. You respond with more awareness. That is preparation. That is growth you cannot unlearn, and it will serve you well. There were moments when you felt tempted to rush ahead, to force outcomes, to accept less just to feel movement again. I know that restlessness. I know the discomfort of waiting when you want to act. But restraint is also preparation. Learning when not to move is as important as knowing when to step forward. You are developing that balance now. My beloved child, I am not preparing you for pressure. I am preparing you for peace within motion. What is coming will ask for presence, not panic. It will require steadiness, not strain. You are learning how to carry responsibility without losing yourself. That lesson alone will protect you more than you know. Do not underestimate the quiet seasons. They are where strength matures. They are where clarity forms. They are where identity settles beyond performance. You are not being shaped for survival anymore. You are being shaped for sustainability. That takes time, care, and intention. As you listen, allow yourself to acknowledge how far you have come without dismissing it. You do not need dramatic proof to validate growth. You are evidence enough. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you respond, these are signs of preparation completed and still ongoing. My beloved child, trust that I see the full picture. Trust that nothing you have lived through has been wasted. What you could not see was never ignored. It was being formed carefully, patiently, lovingly. And when the moment comes for it to be revealed, you will recognize it, not as something sudden, but as something you have been ready for all along. My beloved child, this is not too good to be true. I know that thought rises quickly whenever something hopeful touches your heart. You have learned to question good news, to look for the hidden cost, to wait for the other side of the story. But caution did not come from nowhere. It came from disappointment, from moments when optimism led to pain, from times when promises were made and not kept. I understand why your heart learned to protect itself. But hear me gently now. Protection does not have to mean rejection. Discernment does not require you to close yourself off from what is good. I am not offering you an illusion or a temporary comfort meant to collapse later. I am speaking truth that is steady, grounded, and rooted in love. This is not too good to be true. It is simply good, and goodness can feel unfamiliar after long seasons of strain. My beloved child, you have spent a long time bracing for impact. Even when things were calm, part of you stayed alert, waiting for the shift. That constant readiness has been exhausting. It trained you to expect loss instead of support, disappointment instead of fulfillment. I am not blaming you for that. I am inviting you to rest from it. You may feel resistance as you listen, a voice inside that says, "Be careful," or "Don't get your hopes up." That voice once helped you survive, but it does not get to decide your future. Survival taught you how to endure. Love teaches you how to live. I am guiding you into the second lesson now. My beloved child, hope does not make you foolish. It makes you open. Trust does not make you naive. It makes you present. You are not being asked to ignore reality. You are being asked to stop letting past pain predict future outcomes. What is unfolding now is meeting a wiser, stronger, more aware version of you. I know you have asked yourself whether you are reading too much into this moment, whether you are imagining something that will fade as quickly as it arrives. Let me reassure you, what is real does not require force to hold it together. Truth remains steady even when emotions fluctuate. And this truth is not dependent on how strongly you feel it in any given moment. My beloved child, there is a difference between excitement and peace. Excitement rises quickly and crashes just as fast. Peace settles quietly and stays. What you are feeling now may not be loud, but it is grounding. That is how you know it is safe. That is how you know it is not too good to be true. You have learned to associate goodness with conditions, with effort, with earning. I'm teaching you a different association now. Goodness can arrive because it is time, because you are ready, because love moves when hearts are open. You do not have to justify it. You do not have to rush to understand it. You only have to receive it. My beloved child, receiving can feel vulnerable. It asks you to stop anticipating disappointment and allow yourself to be present. That can be uncomfortable when you are used to guarding your heart. I am with you in the discomfort. I am not asking you to leap. I am asking you to stand still long enough to realize the ground beneath you is firm. You may notice that your body relaxes as you listen. That is not coincidence. Truth brings relief. Safety allows breath. You are not being pulled into something unstable. You are being grounded in something secure. Let that reality settle without analysis. This is not too good to be true because it is not about perfection or ease. It is about alignment. It is about timing meeting readiness. It is about love responding to endurance. You have grown into a place where you can hold what once would have overwhelmed you. My beloved child, do not shrink back from what feels gentle just because you are used to struggle. Peace is not suspicious. Support is not a trap. Care is not a setup for loss. You are allowed to experience good without bracing for pain. Let this truth replace the old reflex to doubt. You are not being misled. You are being led. And what is unfolding is real, steady, and meant to stay with you as you move forward. My beloved child, let me carry what you have been holding. I know how tightly you have gripped your responsibilities, your worries, your unanswered questions. You learned to hold them because you felt you had no other choice. You told yourself that if you did not stay alert, if you did not keep everything balanced, something would fall apart. That weight became familiar, even when it exhausted you. I see how heavy it hath been, and I am inviting you to release it now. You were never meant to carry everything alone. Strength does not mean constant effort. Endurance does not mean endless strain. There is a difference between being responsible and being burdened, and somewhere along the way, the line blurred for you. You took on more than was yours because you care deeply, because you want things to be right, because you do not want to disappoint anyone. I honor that heart, but I do not want it crushed under pressure. My beloved child, you have been holding concerns that are not yours to solve. Outcomes you cannot control. Timelines you cannot force. Expectations that were placed on you long before you were ready to carry them. You tried to manage them all with wisdom and patience, but the cost has been your peace. That is not the life I desire for you. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting that you are supported. It means acknowledging that some things require more than your effort. I am not asking you to become careless or passive. I am asking you to become lighter, to stop carrying tomorrow's worries today, to stop rehearsing fears that may never arrive. My beloved child, when you hold everything tightly, your hands grow tired and your heart stays guarded. When you release what you cannot control, you create space for rest, clarity, and presence. That space is not emptiness. It is where peace enters. It is where guidance becomes easier to hear. I know release can feel risky. You worry that if you loosen your grip, things will unravel. That fear is understandable, but it is not truth. I am not asking you to trust blindly. I am asking you to trust me, who sees beyond what you can see and holds what you cannot reach. You may notice resistance within you even now. A part of you still wants to manage everything, just in case. Be gentle with that part. It learned to protect you when you felt unsafe. But you are not in that place anymore. You are supported now in ways you were not before. You can rest without losing ground. My beloved child, surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is choosing to place weight where it belonged. You are allowed to say, "This is too much for me alone." You are allowed to pause without guilt. You are allowed to rest without explanation. I am not disappointed when you need help. I am present. As you let me carry what you have been holding, you may feel unfamiliar stillness. That stillness is not emptiness. It is relief. It may take time for your body and mind to trust it. You have been in motion for so long that rest feels strange. Let it feel strange. You do not need to rush past it. I will carry the questions that have no answers yet. I will carry the fears you do not know how to name. I will carry the weight of decisions that feel too big. You are not abandoning responsibility. You are sharing it. That is how you were always meant to live. My beloved child, notice how your breathing changes when you imagine releasing even one concern. That is your spirit responding to safety. You were not created to live braced for impact. You were created to live supported by love. Let this be a moment of trust, not effort. You do not need to prove anything here. You do not need to explain yourself. Simply allow what has been heavy to be held by hands stronger than yours. I am here, steady and attentive, and I will not drop what you entrust to me. You can rest now. Not because everything is resolved, but because you are no longer alone in carrying it. My beloved child, I am not asking you to be strong. I know how often strength has been demanded of you, how frequently you felt you had to rise above your feelings just to keep moving. You learned to equate strength with silence, endurance with worth, and composure with survival. That lesson helped you get through difficult seasons, but it is not the standard I hold you to now. I am not asking you to perform resilience. I am inviting you into rest. You have carried the idea that being strong means never breaking, never needing, never admitting how deeply something affected you. That idea has weighed heavily on you. It taught you to minimize your pain, to keep going even when your heart felt tired, to smile when you wanted to sit down and breathe. I saw that effort. I honored it, but I never required it. My beloved child, strength has its place, but so does softness. Courage sometimes looks like admitting you are tired. Faith sometimes looks like sitting still and letting yourself feel. I am not impressed by how much you can endure without complaint. I am attentive to how honestly you show up with your heart open. You do not have to hold yourself together for me. You do not have to present a version of yourself that seems capable or composed. I already know where you feel fragile. I already understand the places where you feel unsure. You are safe to be real here. Nothing about your vulnerability repels me. It draws me closer. I know you have been praised for being strong. Others may have leaned on you because you seemed steady. You became the one who listens, the one who adapts, the one who keeps going. That role can be isolating. It can make you feel like you are not allowed to need support yourself. Let me say this clearly. You are allowed to rest even if others expect you to keep standing. My beloved child, you do not lose dignity when you lay your burdens down. You do not lose respect when you acknowledge limits. You gain honesty, clarity, and space for healing. I'm not asking you to prove anything through endurance anymore. The season of surviving by force has passed. You may notice resistance within you as you hear this. A part of you may worry that if you stop being strong, everything will fall apart. That fear is understandable. Strength became your identity when you did not feel supported. But you are not unsupported now. You are not alone now. You can allow yourself to be human without fear of collapse. I am not asking you to give up responsibility. I am asking you to give up the pressure to be unbreakable. You were never meant to be. You were meant to be held, guided, and supported. That does not make you weak. It makes you honest. My beloved child, you have been carrying expectations that were never spoken but deeply felt. Expectations to keep up, to stay composed, to handle things quietly. Those expectations have shaped how you treat yourself. I am gently releasing you from them now. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to justify your need for care. There is a quiet strength in allowing yourself to be seen as you are. Not the polished version, not the composed version, but the real one. That version is not disappointing. It is worthy of love, patience, and grace. I meet you there without hesitation. You may feel a sense of relief as you hear this, or you may feel uncertain about how to live without constantly bracing yourself. Both responses are natural. Let the relief come. Let the uncertainty soften with time. You do not need to redefine everything at once. You only need to stop demanding more from yourself than I ever have. My beloved child, I am not asking you to be strong because you no longer have to carry everything alone. You are allowed to rest your heart. You are allowed to exhale without fear. You are allowed to be supported without shame. Stay here for a moment. Let go of the need to impress, endure, or prove. I am with you, and I love you as you are, not as you think you should be. My beloved child, I am moving even if you cannot feel it. I know how unsettling it is when your emotions are quiet or numb, when excitement does not rise and reassurance does not come easily. You wonder if something is wrong with you, if your heart has grown distant, if faith should feel louder than this. Let me comfort you here. Feeling nothing does not mean nothing is happening. There are seasons when your emotions rest because they have been stretched for too long. Numbness is not failure. It is often the body and spirit asking for gentleness. You have felt deeply for a long time. You have hoped, worried, endured, and carried more than you realize. And now there is a stillness settling in you, not as emptiness but as recovery. I am working within that stillness. My beloved child, I do not depend on your feelings to move. I am not guided by your emotional signals. My work is steady whether you feel inspired or tired, confident or unsure. When you cannot sense progress, it does not mean progress has stopped. It means it is happening in quieter ways, beneath awareness, beyond immediate sensation. You may have learned to measure closeness by emotion, to believe that peace should feel warm, that guidance should feel clear, that assurance should feel strong. But some of the deepest work I do feels almost neutral while it is happening. It does not rush your heart or overwhelm your mind. It stabilizes you slowly, carefully, so that when change becomes visible, It does not shake you. My beloved child, you are not disconnected. You are grounded. There is a difference. Disconnection pulls you away from yourself. Grounding brings you back into your body, your breath, your present moment. What you are experiencing now is grounding. It is the calm after long tension, the quiet after constant alertness. I am restoring balance, not removing passion. I know you may miss the intensity of certainty, the feeling of knowing exactly where you stand. But certainty is not the same as trust. Trust can exist even when emotions are neutral. Trust shows up in small choices, in staying present, in continuing without panic. That is what you are doing now, even if it feels unremarkable. My beloved child, do not judge this season by how it feels. Judge it by how it holds you. You are less reactive, less overwhelmed, less consumed by fear. That is movement. You are not spiraling the way you once did. You are not questioning your worth at every turn. That is healing taking root. When I move quietly, it is often because something delicate is forming. Loud shifts can frighten fragile beginnings. I am protecting what is emerging in you by allowing it to grow without pressure. You do not need to cheer it on or monitor it constantly. Let it develop at its own pace. You may notice that you are responding to life differently now. Pausing before reacting. Choosing rest instead of pushing. Letting moments pass without attaching fear to them. These changes may feel subtle, but they are significant. They show that something within you has steadied. My beloved child, you do not need to feel inspired every day to be aligned. You do not need emotional confirmation to be on the right path. Alignment often feels ordinary while it is happening. It feels like showing up, breathing, and choosing honesty over avoidance. You are doing that more than you realize. I am moving even when you cannot feel it, and I will continue to do so without demanding anything from you. You do not need to chase clarity or manufacture emotion. You only need to remain open, gentle with yourself, and willing to stay present. Trust this quiet. It is not emptiness. It is space being prepared. Space for peace that does not collapse under pressure. Space for clarity that does not depend on mood. Space for a life that feels steadier, even when it is still unfolding. I am here with you in this subtle movement. Nothing is stalled. Nothing is lost. You are being carried forward in ways that honor your pace, your healing, and your humanity. My beloved child, this is your confirmation. Not because you demanded proof, and not because you forced clarity, but because your heart has been listening even when it was tired. You have asked quietly, sometimes without words, am I on the right path? You wondered if the signs you noticed were real or imagined, if the gentle nudges you felt were meaningful or accidental. I am answering you now with steadiness, not spectacle. This is your confirmation. Confirmation does not always arrive with dramatic certainty. Often it comes as a deep knowing that settles instead of excites. It brings peace rather than adrenaline. It does not rush you forward. It grounds you where you are. That is what you are feeling now. A sense that something aligns, even if you cannot explain it fully. Alignment is not coincidence. It is response. My beloved child, you have been paying attention. You noticed patterns. You sensed repetition. You felt the same message returning in different forms, through different moments. You questioned it because you did not want to misinterpret hope as truth. That caution came from wisdom, not fear. And now, I am speaking clearly so you do not have to keep wondering. This message is not replacing your discernment. He is affirming it. You are not imagining the shift you feel. You are not forcing meaning where there is none. Your heart has been trained by experience, refined by waiting, and softened by honesty. It recognizes truth when it arrives quietly. That is why this confirmation feels calm instead of overwhelming. My beloved child, you do not need to search endlessly for signs anymore. You do not need to replay conversations, moments, or thoughts to see if they meant something. Let this be enough. Let this moment settle the question you have been carrying. You are not off course. You are not moving blindly. You are being guided with care. Confirmation does not always answer every question. Sometimes it simply reassures you that you are not alone in asking them. It reminds you that your steps matter even when they feel small. It tells you that continuing forward with honesty and patience is not wasted effort. That is what I am giving you now. You may feel a gentle resolve forming inside you. Not loud confidence, but quiet assurance. That assurance will help you move without rushing, choose without panic, and wait without despair. It will not demand perfection from you. It will simply remind you that you are supported as you go. My beloved child, receive this confirmation without trying to analyze it. You do not need to test it or defend it. Let it rest where doubt once lived. Let it replace the constant questioning with steadiness. You are allowed to trust what brings peace rather than fear. If this confirmation resonates with your spirit, do not keep it to yourself. Bless this message with a like so it can reach others who are asking the same quiet questions. Hype this video so it rises and finds hearts that need reassurance. Share it with someone who has been asking for clarity but feels unsure. And subscribe to stay connected, because these words will continue to meet people exactly where they are. When you engage, you help this confirmation travel beyond you. My beloved child, I am not asking you to take a leap. I am asking you to take the next honest step. You do not need to know the entire journey. You only need to trust that this moment is meaningful. And it is. My beloved child, I am speaking directly to you now. What you feel stirring is not only for you, but for many who are still waiting to hear my voice. When you give, you are sowing light into places that feel dry, and I promise you the harvest will not be small. Just as oil flows when the vessel is opened, your support through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description and QR code releases hope to countless souls. Do not delay when obedience calls. This is a sacred response, not a transaction. I bless what you release and multiply it with peace, favor, and provision. Rise now and act. Let this work continue through your hands. My beloved child, do not shrink back now. I say this not as a warning filled with pressure, but as a gentle reminder of how far you have come. Shrinking back does not always look like quitting. Sometimes it looks like minimizing your needs, lowering your expectations, or convincing yourself that staying small is safer than stepping forward. I understand why that instinct exists. It was shaped by moments when hope hurt and courage felt costly. But this moment is different. You are standing at a place where awareness has grown, where healing has softened old wounds, where truth has steadied your heart. Shrinking back now would mean abandoning the progress you did not even realize you were making. Not because you failed, but because fear is subtle and patient. It waits for quiet moments to suggest retreat. I am here to interrupt that suggestion with love. My beloved child, courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Stay present." Sometimes it says, "Do not undo what you have learned." You do not need to prove bravery through big gestures. Simply remaining open, honest, and engaged with your life is an act of courage right now. You are allowed to take up space in your own story. I know the temptation to retreat into old patterns. They feel familiar. Familiarity can feel like safety, even when it limits growth. You may feel the urge to go back to what required less vulnerability, less risk, less hope. But you are not the same person you were when those patterns formed. Returning to them would not bring comfort. It would bring dissonance. You have outgrown what once protected you. My beloved child, do not confuse caution with wisdom. Wisdom listens, discerns, and chooses intentionally. Caution fueled by fear avoids, delays, and diminishes. You are learning the difference now. Trust that awareness. You do not need to rush forward, but you do not need to retreat either. Stay where you are, grounded in truth, and allow the next step to reveal itself naturally. You may worry that moving forward will expose you to disappointment again. That fear is understandable. But avoiding disappointment by shrinking your life is not protection. It is self-denial. I am not asking you to ignore risk. I am asking you to trust that you are better equipped now. You have boundaries. You have discernment. You have learned how to pause and listen. These tools will serve you well. My beloved child, there is a difference between rest and retreat. Rest restores you so you can continue. Retreat pulls you away from yourself. If you feel tired, rest. If you feel unsure, pause. But do not abandon the ground you have gained. You earned this steadiness through patience and honesty. It deserves to be honored. You are not being reckless by staying open. You are being faithful to the growth that has already taken place. Shrinking back would mean pretending you did not change, that you did not learn, that you did not heal. That would be untrue. You have changed. You have learned. You have healed in ways that may feel quiet but are deeply real. My beloved child, staying present does not mean forcing progress. It means continuing to choose honesty over avoidance, trust over fear, compassion over self-criticism. These choices shape your future more than dramatic actions ever could. You are already moving forward by how you are choosing to show up. I know you may still feel cautious. That is okay. Courage does not require the absence of fear. It requires the willingness to stay engaged even when fear speaks. You can acknowledge fear without letting it lead. You can feel uncertainty without letting it decide. Do not shrink back now. Not because something terrible will happen if you do, but because something meaningful is unfolding if you stay. Your life does not need to be smaller to be safe. It needs to be honest, supported, and aligned. I am with you in this moment of choice. You do not have to step boldly. You only have to stay. Stay present. Stay open. Stay true to what you now know. That is enough to keep moving forward. My beloved child, I am rewriting the ending. I know how fixed some conclusions feel in your mind. You told yourself certain chapters were closed, certain outcome decided, certain hopes permanently shown. You learned to speak about them in the past tense, because it hurt less than wondering what might still be possible. I understand why you did that. Finality can feel safer than uncertainty. But hear me now with clarity and gentleness. The story you thought was finished is still being written. You assumed the ending based on what you could see, based on how things stopped, based on how quiet everything became. But silence is not the same as completion. An interruption is not the same as an ending. I do not abandon stories halfway through. I do not lose interest when things become complicated. I work most carefully where things look unresolved. My beloved child, you may feel cautious hearing this. A part of you wants to protect yourself from disappointment by saying, I already accepted how it ended. That acceptance helped you survive. It gave you something solid to stand on when the future felt unstable. But survival language is not the same as truth. It was a bridge, not a destination. I am not rewriting the ending to bring you back to old versions of yourself. I am not undoing the growth you gained through loss, waiting, or disappointment. What I am doing is honoring that growth by giving it new context. The ending I am shaping will meet who you are now, not who you were when the chapter first began. You may have believed the ending was defined by what went wrong, by who left, by what failed to materialize. But endings are not defined by loss alone. They are defined by meaning. And meaning can change as understanding deepens. What once felt like a dead end may become a turning point when seen from a wider view. My beloved child, rewriting the ending does not mean pretending the pain did not exist. It means allowing the pain to become part of a larger story, one that does not end in disappointment or regret. You do not have to rewrite the past. You only have to let me reinterpret it. I know you have replayed moments in your mind, wondering where things shifted, where hope slipped away. You may have blamed yourself, circumstances, or timing. Those thoughts kept you busy, but did not bring peace. Let them rest now. I am not focused on assigning fault. I am focused on restoration. Restoration does not always look like returning to what was. Sometimes it looks like revealing why something had to change. Sometimes it looks like opening a door you did not know existed because you were focused on the one that closed. I am not bound by your expectations of how things should end. I am guided by love, wisdom, and purpose. My beloved child, the ending you feared was final was never the conclusion. It was a pause that allowed perspective to grow. You needed time to heal, to understand yourself, to recognize what truly matters to you. Without that pause, you might have accepted an ending that was incomplete. You are not foolish for believing something was over. You responded with the information and capacity you had at the time. But capacity has expanded now. Awareness has deepened. You are ready to see the story differently. That readiness matters. As I write the ending, you may notice your heart responding before your mind catches up. A subtle openness, a gentle curiosity, a sense that not everything is as settled as you once thought. That response is not instability. It is possibility returning carefully. My beloved child, you do not need to rush to redefine everything. You do not need to reopen wounds or revisit old spaces. Simply allow the idea that your life is not boxed in my past conclusions. The ending is not locked. The ink is not dry. I am rewriting the ending with patience and care. Not to surprise you with chaos, but to lead you into meaning. What comes next will feel honest, grounded, and aligned with who you are becoming. Stay open to that unfolding. Your story is still alive, and I am still writing with you. My beloved child, what is coming will surprise you, not in a way that overwhelms you or pulls the ground from beneath your feet, but in a way that gently shifts how you understand your own life. You have been expecting struggle for so long that ease may feel unfamiliar. You have been preparing for disappointment for so long that goodness may catch you off guard. That surprise is not a threat. It is a sign that your expectations are being expanded. You imagined that if change came, it would arrive loudly, dramatically, or all at once. But what is coming will arrive with a quieter confidence. It will meet you in ordinary moments and reveal itself gradually. You may recognize it not by excitement, but by how naturally it fits. It will feel like something clicking into place rather than crashing into your life. My beloved child, surprise does not always mean sudden. Sometimes it means different from what you anticipated. You expected answers to come one way, support to come from certain places, relief to look a certain shade. What is coming may bypass those expectations entirely. That does not mean you were wrong. It means your view was partial, and I see more. I know you have learned to prepare for the worst as a form of protection. You told yourself that expecting less would hurt less. This strategy helped you survive disappointment, but it also narrowed what you believed was possible. I am gently widening that view now. You do not have to abandon caution overnight. Just allow room for something better than you imagine. What is coming will surprise you because it will not demand that you become someone else to receive it. You will not have to prove readiness through exhaustion or sacrifice your peace to hold it. It will meet you where you are, not where you think you should be. That alignment may feel unexpected, but it is intentional. My beloved child, you may notice that your imagination struggles to picture what comes next. That is not a failure of faith. It is an invitation to trust beyond your own predictions. You do not need to rehearse outcomes or plan responses. What is coming will not require you to be on guard. It will invite presence, not defense. Surprise can feel unsettling when you have lived in control for a long time. Control feels safer than the unknown, even when it is heavy. But you are learning a different kind of safety now. One that does not come from managing every detail, but from knowing you are supported regardless of how things unfold. My beloved child, what is coming will surprise you because it will address needs you did not know how to articulate. You prayed for relief in one area, and I have been working at the root. You asked for change in circumstances, and I have been reshaping perspective. The result may not match your original request, but it will answer the deeper need behind it. You may feel cautious excitement rising as you listen, quickly followed by the urge to temper it. Let both exist without judgment. You do not need to commit to belief or disbelief right now. Simply stay open. Surprise does not require anticipation. It requires availability. I am not bringing chaos into your life. I am introducing coherence. Things that felt disconnected will begin to make sense together. Choices that once felt heavy will feel clearer. You will notice patterns aligning rather than colliding. The coherence may surprise you because it replaces effort with flow. My beloved child, surprise is often the language of grace. It arrives not because you earned it perfectly, but because it is time. Because growth has happened. Because readiness has been established quietly. You are more prepared than you think, even if you still feel uncertain. Do not rush to define what is coming. Definitions can limit experience. Let it unfold without labels. Let it show you what it is rather than forcing it into what you expect. Trust that I am attentive to your heart, your boundaries, and your pace. What is coming will surprise you not by how big it is, but by how right it feels. And when you recognize that feeling, you will understand that this surprise was never random. It was carefully guided, patiently prepared, and lovingly timed for you. My beloved child, you are safer than you think. I know your mind has learned to scan for danger, to anticipate what might go wrong, to stay a step ahead of disappointment. That vigilance did not come from weakness, it came from experience. You learned how quickly things can change, how fragile stability can feel. So you adapted by staying alert. But I want you to hear this now with gentleness and truth. You are not as exposed as your fear suggests. Safety does not always mean the absence of uncertainty. It means the presence of support. You may not have control over every outcome, but you are not unprotected. You are not walking unguarded into the unknown. I am with you in ways that go beyond what you can see or measure. My care surrounds you even when your thoughts race ahead of the moment. My beloved child, anxiety has a way of convincing you that danger is closer than it is. It magnifies possibilities and treats them as inevitability. It urges you to prepare for loss even when nothing has been taken. I understand how convincing that voice can be. But fear is not a reliable guide. It speaks loudly, not accurately. You have been equating safety with certainty for a long time. You told yourself that if you could just predict everything, you would be okay. But certainty is fragile. It collapses the moment something unexpected happens. Real safety is different. It is rooted in trust, your resilience, in knowing that even if things change, you will not be abandoned within the change. My beloved child, you are safer than you think because you are not facing life alone anymore. You are not relying solely on your own strength, awareness, or preparation. You are being guided. You are being held. That does not mean nothing difficult will ever happen. It means difficulty will not have the final word over you. I know your body still holds tension from past moments when safety disappeared suddenly. Those memories live quietly in your nervous system. They remind you to stay alert, to expect impact. Be patient with yourself as those patterns soften. Healing does not erase memory overnight. It teaches the body new evidence over time. Look at how you are responding differently now. You pause instead of panic. You breathe instead of bracing. You reflect instead of reacting. These are signs that safety is being restored from the inside out. You are learning that you can be present without being on guard every moment. My beloved child, you are safer than you think because you are allowed to rest without everything falling apart. Notice how the world continues even when you stop pushing. That continuation is not neglect, it is support. You do not have to hold everything together for life to keep moving. That responsibility was never meant to rest solely on you. There will still be moments when fear speaks. Do not be alarmed by that. Fear may visit, but it does not have to move in. You can acknowledge it without obeying it. You can listen without surrendering your peace. I am teaching you how to respond instead of react. Safety also means permission to be yourself without constant self-correction. You do not need to monitor every word, every choice, every feeling. You are allowed to exist without constant adjustment. You are allowed to make mistakes and learn without fear of collapse. Growth is safer than you think. My beloved child, I am not building a fragile life for you. I am establishing a resilient one. One that can bend without breaking. One that can hold joy without fearing its loss. One that can face uncertainty without losing grounding. That kind of safety is deeper than protection from harm. It is protection within harm. You may not feel completely safe yet, and that is okay. Safety grows through experience, not declarations. Each time you choose rest and discover you are still okay, safety strengthens. Each time you trust and find support, safety deepens. You are accumulating evidence now, even if you do not name it that way. You are safer than you think because love is not leaving you. Guidance is not withdrawing. Support is not fragile. I am steady, present, and attentive to you. Let that truth settle slowly. You do not need to rush into confidence. Simply allow the possibility that you are held more securely than you have believed. Stay here with that thought. Let it soften your shoulders, slow your breath, and quiet your mind. You are not in danger. You are in process, and you are not alone in it. My beloved child, I will walk you through every step. Not ahead of you where you cannot reach me, and not behind you where you cannot feel me. I walk with you, matching your pace, attentive to where your feet actually touch the ground. You do not need to sprint toward the future, and you do not need to freeze in fear. You only need to keep moving honestly, one step at a time, knowing you are not navigating alone. I know the unknown has felt intimidating to you. You have stood at crossroads before, unsure which direction would lead to peace and which would lead to regret. Those moments taught you caution. They taught you to hesitate before choosing, to analyze deeply, to fear making the wrong move. I understand why. But hear me now. You do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. I will not ask you to figure everything out at once. I will not overwhelm you with details meant for later seasons. I guide progressively, intentionally, revealing only what you need when you need it. That is not withholding. That is care. Too much clarity too soon can burden rather than bless. I want you present, not pressured. My beloved child, walking with me does not mean you will never feel uncertain. It means uncertainty will not leave you abandoned. When questions arise, you will not face them alone. When decisions feel heavy, you will not carry them unsupported. I will steady you in the moments when clarity feels distant and patience feels thin. You may worry about missteps, about choosing incorrectly, about missing something important. Let me ease that fear. Even when you stumble, I do not withdraw. Even when you hesitate, I do not rush you. I adjust, redirect, and continue with you. Your journey is not fragile. It does not depend on flawless execution. My beloved child, I know you have learned to overthink as a way to stay safe. You believe that if you considered every possibility, you could avoid pain. But life does not unfold through perfect planning. It unfolds through presence, responsiveness, and trust. I am teaching you how to listen instead of calculate, how to notice instead of predict. As we walk together, you will begin to sense gentle cues rather than loud instructions. A sense of peace about one option, a quiet resistance about another, a growing clarity that does not shout but remains steady. These are not accidents. They are guidance tailored to your spirit. I will walk you through conversations you are unsure how to have, through changes you are unsure how to begin, through endings you are unsure how to accept. You do not need to rehearse everything in advance. I will meet you in real time, supplying what you need when you need it. My beloved child, you do not need to become fearless to move forward. You only need to trust that fear does not lead this journey. You can walk with fear present and still choose wisely. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision not to let fear decide. You may notice that walking with me feels slower than you expected. That is intentional. Slowness allows integration. It allows healing to keep pace with change. Rapid movement can reopen wounds that have not fully closed. I am attentive to your wholeness, not just your progress. There will be moments when you wish I would simply tell you what to do, when clarity feels easier than trust. In those moments, remember this: I am not trying to control your life. I am teaching you how to live it with awareness and connection. You are not a passenger. You are a participant. My beloved child, as we walk together, you will gain confidence not because everything becomes predictable, but because you realize you are supported regardless of what arises. That confidence will be quiet, grounded, and resilient. It will not depend on circumstances behaving perfectly. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to lag behind. Just stay present with the step in front of you. I am already there. I will walk you through every step, patiently, faithfully, and without leaving you to figure it out alone. Trust this companionship. It is not temporary. It is not conditional. It is constant. And with each step we take together, you will find that the path becomes clearer not because it is fully revealed, but because you are no longer walking it by yourself. My beloved child, you do not have to rush, only trust. I know how urgency has followed you for a long time, whispering that if you do not move quickly, you will miss something important. Urgency has told you that delay equals danger, that stillness equals failure. That voice did not come from wisdom. It came from fear shaped by moments when things slipped away without warning. I understand why you learned to hurry, but I am teaching you a different rhythm now. Trust does not demand speed. Trust invites presence. When you rush, your body tightens and your mind scatters. When you trust, your breath slows and your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice what matters instead of chasing what shouts the loudest. You are not falling behind when you move with care. You are aligning with timing that protects you. My beloved child, I am not asking you to pause forever. I am asking you to stop confusing pressure with purpose. Purpose does not panic. It does not bully you into decisions. It does not threaten you with loss if you take a moment to breathe. Purpose waits for readiness and meets it with clarity. You have lived under the weight of imagined deadlines. You told yourself there was a narrow window, a last chance, a ticking clock. That belief kept you tense and vigilant. But hear me clearly. Your life is not a fragile opportunity that chatters if you move slowly. It is a living journey that unfolds with intention. When you rush, you skip integration. You move ahead before your heart has caught up, before your healing has settled, before your wisdom has found its footing. That is how exhaustion returns. Trust allows integration. It lets your inner world and outer steps move together. That harmony is where peace lives. My beloved child, there will be moments when others seem to move faster than you, when choices around you appear decisive and bold. Do not let comparison convince you to abandon your pace. Speed does not equal alignment. Confidence does not equal clarity. Many who rush will later need to retrace their steps. You are learning how to move without losing yourself. I know waiting has been painful for you in the past. I know stillness sometimes feels like abandonment. But this moment is not the same. This is not waiting because nothing is happening. This is waiting because something is forming. Trust feels different here. It feels grounded, not desperate. It feels calm, not tense. My beloved child, trusting does not mean doing nothing. It means choosing wisely. It means listening inwardly before reacting outwardly. It means allowing guidance to surface without forcing it. You are not passive in trust. You are attentive. You may feel the urge to rush when uncertainty appears. That is natural. Uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, and rushing promises relief. But relief gained through haste is often temporary. Trust may feel slower, but it builds something lasting. It builds stability you can lean on later. I am not measuring your faith by how quickly you act. I am measuring it by how honestly you listen, by how gently you treat yourself, by how willing you are to stay present even when the next step is not obvious. The willingness is strength. My beloved child, you are allowed to take your time without guilt. You are allowed to say no to pressure that does not come from me. You are allowed to let clarity arrive instead of chasing it. And nothing meant for you will require you to abandon peace to obtain it. As you practice trusting without rushing, you will notice a change within you. Decisions will feel less frantic. Choices will feel more grounded. You will begin to recognize when something is aligned not by urgency, but by ease. That ease is not laziness. It is wisdom settling into place. Do not hurry to become who you are becoming. Growth cannot be forced without damage. I am patient with you because I am invested in your wholeness, not just your progress. What unfolds at the right pace lasts. My beloved child, you do not have to rush, only trust. Trust that you are guided. Trust that you are supported. Trust that the path will meet you step by step as you stay present. I am not leaving you behind, and I am not pushing you forward. I am walking with you at a pace that honors your healing and leads you forward in peace. My beloved child, let this message move through you, not just as words you hear, but as truth you carry. You were never meant to receive comfort and keep it contained within your own heart. What you are feeling right now, this sense of reassurance, this quiet clarity, this gentle strengthening, was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to flow through you and reach others who are standing where you once stood. I know you understand what it feels like to wait in silence, to carry questions quietly, to hope without knowing if anyone sees. That understanding has shaped you with compassion that cannot be taught any other way. You recognize pain even when it is hidden. You sense heaviness behind smiles. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is a calling to carry light where darkness feels familiar. My beloved child, letting this message move through you does not require perfection or boldness. It requires willingness, a simple yes, a gentle openness. You do not need to preach or persuade. You only need to allow truth to travel beyond your own experience. Sometimes that happens through a quiet share, a small action, or a moment of obedience that feels simple but carries weight. You may wonder if your participation matters, if your voice, your engagement, your willingness to pass something on truly makes a difference. Let me answer you clearly, it does. Movements are built on many small obediences, not a few loud ones. Hearts are reached because someone chose not to keep hope to themselves. When you allow this message to move through you, you become part of something larger than your own healing. You become a bridge, a reminder, a signal to someone else that they are not alone, not forgotten, not waiting in vain. You may never see the full impact of that choice, but it is real nonetheless. If these words have settled your heart, bless this message with a like so it can rise and reach others who need it. Hype this video so it travels farther than it could on its own. Share it with someone who is quietly struggling, someone who may not know how to ask for reassurance. And subscribe to stay connected, because this space exists to continue speaking peace, truth, and clarity into weary hearts. Your engagement is not just interaction. It is participation in love moving outward. My beloved child, I know there is a part of you that hesitates. A part that says, what if I am not enough? Or what if this is not my role? That hesitation is not humility. It is fear trying to keep you small. You do not need to be an expert to share hope. You only need to be honest. Letting this message move through you does not diminish you. It multiplies what you have received. Love grows when it is given away. Peace deepens when it is shared. What you release does not leave you empty, it returns fuller. You are not being asked to carry anyone else's burden alone. You are simply being invited to point others toward light. That light does not come from you. It flows through you. That is why you do not need to fear exhaustion or inadequacy. You are a channel, not the source. My beloved child, this moment is not only about what you are receiving, but about what you are becoming. Someone who no longer hoards hope out of fear. Someone who trusts that love multiplies. Someone who understands that healing does not end at personal relief. It expands into shared restoration. Let this message move through you naturally, without pressure, without performance. Just as you are, your willingness is enough. And as you allow love to flow outward, you will find that it continues to flow inward as well. You are part of something meaningful, something gentle, something alive. Do not underestimate the power of simply passing on what steadied your heart. My beloved child, as you allow this message to move through you, know that when you give, you are helping my light reach hearts still wandering in shadow. I am speaking to you now. This is the moment to sow into living soil, where hope will rise like a harvest. When you support through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description and QR code, you become a vessel through which my word flows farther. Do not hesitate when love calls you to act. Obedience opens heaven's channels. I bless every gift you release and return it with peace, provision, and favor. Move now and let this work advance through your hands. My beloved child, others will be healed through your yes. I know you have not always seen yourself as someone whose life could make that kind of difference. You looked at your own wounds, your uncertainties, your quiet struggles, and assumed they disqualified you from helping anyone else. But healing does not flow only from those who have it all together. It flows most deeply from those who have learned how to keep their hearts open while healing themselves. Your yes does not need to be loud. It does not need to be dramatic or perfectly timed. Sometimes your yes is simply choosing honesty instead of hiding. Sometimes it is choosing kindness when it would be easier to withdraw. Sometimes it is choosing to remain present when you would rather retreat. These choices matter more than you realize, because they create space for others to breathe more freely. My beloved child, you have walked paths that others are only beginning to step onto. You know what it feels like to wait, to doubt, to question your worth, to search for reassurance in quiet moments. That understanding has shaped you with empathy that cannot be taught. When you say yes to being fully present in your life, others sense safety around you. They feel less alone without you having to explain why. You may think healing others requires having answers. It does not. It requires willingness. Willingness to listen. Willingness to stay when things feel uncomfortable. Willingness to admit you do not have everything figured out. That honesty invites trust. That trust opens the door for healing to begin. My beloved child, your yes interrupts cycles of silence. When you choose to speak gently about your experiences, you give others permission to name their own. When you choose compassion over judgment, you create room for growth. When you choose patience instead of pressure, you reflect a kind of love that heals quietly but deeply. I know there is a part of you that still wonders if you are enough. That part remembers mistakes, moments of weakness, seasons of confusion. Let me remind you, healing does not require perfection. It requires presence. Your imperfections do not negate your impact. They make it real. Others will be healed through your yes because your life carries authenticity. You do not offer platitudes. You offer understanding. You do not rush people through pain. You sit with them. That steadiness is rare and needed. It is born from your own journey, from lessons learned slowly and honestly. My beloved child, you are not responsible for fixing anyone. Healing is not about control. It is about connection. When you say yes to being who you are becoming, you create connection simply by existing truthfully. That connection allows others to feel seen, sometimes for the first time in a long while. You may never know how far the ripple of your yes travels. You may not see the quiet ways your presence steadies someone else's heart. You may not hear the stories of those who felt less alone because of something you said or did. But I see it. I track it. I honor it. Your yes also heals parts of you that once felt unworthy. Each time you choose to remain open, you reinforce the truth that your life has meaning beyond survival. You move from enduring to contributing, from protecting yourself to participating fully. That shift brings its own kind of healing. My beloved child, do not underestimate the power of consistency. Showing up with integrity. Choosing kindness repeatedly. remaining grounded when others feel lost. These are not small things. They are anchors in a world that often feels unstable. Your yes is not about obligation. It is about alignment. It is the natural response of a heart that has been cared for and now knows how to care. You are not being used. You are being trusted. Trusted with influence that flows naturally from who you are. Others will be healed through your yes, not because you are extraordinary, but because you are willing. Willing to stay open. Willing to keep learning. Willing to let love move through you without trying to control it. Say yes in the ways that feel true to you. Say yes to honesty. Yes to compassion. Yes to presence. And trust that those simple choices are already doing more good than you can see. My beloved child, I chose you for this season. Not because you are flawless, and not because you have everything figured out, but because you are willing to grow. You are here, listening, reflecting, staying open even when it would be easier to withdraw. That willingness matters more than perfection ever could. Seasons are not assigned at random. They meet the shape of the heart that must walk through them. You may look at yourself and wonder why this season feels heavy, why responsibility feels close, why awareness has deepened in ways that are sometimes uncomfortable. You may ask why you could not have arrived here later, when you felt more prepared. But readiness is not about feeling capable. It is about being responsive. And you have been responding, even when you felt unsure. My beloved child, I chose you for this season because you are learning how to listen rather than rush, how to feel rather than numb, how to trust rather than control. These qualities are not loud, but they are essential. This season does not need force. It needs presence. It needs someone who can sit with complexity without abandoning compassion. You have developed a sensitivity to timing, to tone, to what is happening beneath the surface. That sensitivity did not come easily. It was shaped through moments of waiting, through disappointment that refined you, through silence that taught you discernment. I did not waste those experiences. They prepared you for now. My beloved child, you may compare yourself to others and think they seem better suited, more confident, more certain. But this season does not require their temperament. It requires yours. It requires the way you notice nuance, the way you move carefully, the way you value honesty over appearance. These are strengths here, even if they were misunderstood before. I chose you for this season because you know the cost of being unseen. You know the weight of being unheard. That knowledge gives you empathy that cannot be manufactured. It allows you to move through this time without trampling others, without rushing past what matters. You understand that growth is not always linear, and healing is not always visible. That understanding will guide your steps. You may feel unqualified because you still carry questions. But questions do not disqualify you. They keep you attentive. They prevent arrogance. They ensure that you remain teachable. I am not looking for certainty without humility. I am walking with you because you are open to learning. My beloved child, this season may ask you to trust yourself more than you are used to make decisions without constant reassurance, to listen to your inner sense of alignment and honor it. It can feel uncomfortable when you have relied on external validation for safety. But you are not walking alone as you learn this. I am present, steady, and patient. You may also notice that this season invites you to release old identities, roles you played to survive, expectations you carried to be accepted. These releases can feel like loss, even when they make room for growth. Be gentle with yourself through that transition. You are not becoming less. You are becoming more aligned. My beloved child, I chose you for this season because you are capable of holding complexity without losing compassion. You can sit with unanswered questions without becoming cynical. You can face uncertainty without becoming hardened. These are rare qualities, formed through lived experience, not theory. You do not need to rush to master this season. You only need to remain present within it. Let it teach you. Let it shape you. Let it refine what matters and release what no longer serves you. Growth here is not about achievement. It is about integration. I know you sometimes wish this season were simpler. I know you long for clarity without effort. But simplicity gained too early can stunt depth. You are developing roots that will hold you steady later. That work takes time, and it is happening now. My beloved child, trust that you are not misplaced. You are not here by mistake. You were chosen for this season because you can walk through it with honesty, humility, and heart. And as you do, you will discover that you are more prepared than you ever believed. My beloved child, this is the turning point. Not because everything around you has suddenly changed, but because something within you has. Yearning points are often quiet. They do not always announce themselves with certainty or celebration. They reveal themselves in subtle shifts, in how you respond, in what you tolerate, in what you no longer fear the way you once did. This moment matters because you are no longer standing where you used to stand. You may have imagined a turning point as a dramatic breakthrough, a clear sign, a decisive event that leaves no room for doubt. But many turning points are internal before they are external. They begin when you stop fighting yourself, when you stop forcing outcomes, when you stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" and start asking, "What is being formed in me?" That shift changes everything. My beloved child, you are beginning to trust yourself in ways that once felt impossible, not with blind confidence, but with grounded awareness. You are learning to notice when something feels aligned and when it does not. You are listening to your inner signals without immediately dismissing them. That is not coincidence. That is growth reaching a threshold. A turning point does not mean the end of uncertainty. It means uncertainty no longer paralyzes you. You may still have questions, but they do not carry the same weight. You may still feel cautious, but caution no longer dictates your choices. You are no longer ruled by the fear of making the wrong move. You are guided by the desire to make an honest one. My beloved child, this turning point is also about release. Release of old narratives that told you who you were allowed to be. Release of expectations that kept you shrinking. Release of self-judgment that made every decision feel heavy. You are loosening your grip on those stories now, even if you do not fully realize it yet. You may notice that you are less reactive than before, that situations which once consumed your thoughts now pass through you more easily, that you are able to pause, breathe, and choose rather than rush or withdraw. These are signs of internal change. They indicate that you are standing on different ground. This turning point is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you were always becoming. The version of you that is honest, discerning, compassionate, and present. The version that does not need to prove worth through struggle. The version that can move forward without abandoning peace. My beloved child, turning points often come with mixed emotions. Relief and uncertainty. Hope and hesitation. Excitement and caution. Allow all of it. You do not need to resolve every feeling to move forward. You only need to acknowledge them without letting them stop you. You may feel tempted to look back, to question whether this change is real, to test it against past disappointments. That impulse is understandable. But remember this: you are not returning to the same circumstances with the same heart. Even if the external landscape looks familiar, you are not who you were before. That difference matters. A turning point is also a moment of choice. Not a loud choice, but a quiet one. A decision to stay aligned, to remain present, to continue choosing honesty over fear. You will make that choice again and again, often in small ways. Each time you do, the path ahead becomes clearer. My beloved child, do not rush past this moment. Do not minimize it because it feels subtle. Many of the most meaningful shifts in life happen without applause. They happen in awareness, in resolve, in the quiet commitment to live differently. This is one of those moments. You are not required to declare this turning point to the world. You are not required to explain it to anyone. It is enough that you recognize it within yourself. That recognition will guide your steps more reliably than external validation ever could. This turning point does not promise ease. It promises alignment. It does not remove effort. It removes unnecessary struggle. You will still grow, still stretch, still face challenges, but you will do so with a steadier sense of who you are and what matters. My beloved child, honor this moment. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that change is already happening, even if it feels quiet. You are no longer waiting at the edge of something. You are stepping into it, one honest choice at a time. My beloved child, receive what I am giving you. Not with effort, not with analysis, not with suspicion, but with openness. I know receiving has not always been easy for you. You learned how to give, how to endure, how to carry weight. But receiving required you to slow down, to trust, to believe you were worthy without earning. It felt unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Still, I am inviting you now to receive. What I am giving you is not something you have to chase. It is not something you need to prove yourself ready for. It is already being offered. Peace that does not depend on circumstances. Clarity that arrives without force. Strength that does not exhaust you. These gifts do not require striving. They require allowance. My beloved child, you may feel a reflex to reach for control even now, to ask questions, to seek guarantees, to understand everything before accepting anything. That reflex once protected you, but it no longer needs to lead. Receiving does not mean abandoning discernment. It means softening resistance long enough for love to settle. You are not taking something that does not belong to you. You are not asking for more than you deserve. You are stepping into what has been prepared with care. Receiving does not make you dependent. It makes you grounded. It allows you to operate from fullness rather than depletion. As you receive, you may notice subtle changes. Your breath deepens. Your shoulders lower. Your thoughts slow. These are signs that your body recognizes safety. That recognition is not imagined. It is your system responding to truth. You are not being rushed. You are being supported. My beloved child, receiving also means letting go of the belief that rest must be earned through exhaustion. You do not have to collapse to justify rest. You do not have to reach a breaking point to deserve relief. You are allowed to receive before everything is resolved. Peace is not a reward for finishing the journey. It is support for walking it. You may feel undeserving at moments. Old voices may rise, reminding you of mistakes, missed opportunities, or times you fell short of your own expectations. Let those voices pass without engagement. They are echoes, not authority. They do not define what you are allowed to receive now. What I am giving you will not overwhelm you. It will fit. It will integrate into your life gently. You do not need to brace yourself. You do not need to protect yourself from it. Goodness does not require defense. It invites trust. My beloved child, receiving also asks you to stop shrinking, to stop downplaying your needs, to stop pretending you require less care than you do. You are allowed to take up space in your own life. You are allowed to let support meet you fully. There is no virtue in deprivation. You may worry that if you receive now, something will be taken away later. That fear comes from inconsistency you experienced before. But I am not offering you something fragile. I am offering you something steady. It does not vanish when circumstances shift. It remains accessible even when emotions fluctuate. Receiving does not make you complacent. It makes you clear. It gives you a foundation from which to act without panic, from which to choose without fear, from which to engage life without constant self-protection. That clarity will serve you well as you move forward. My beloved child, let yourself receive without apology, without explanation, without bargaining. You do not need to promise anything in return. You do not need to predict how you will use what you receive. Simply allow it to arrive and settle. If resistance rises, notice it without judgment. Resistance often guards places that have been hurt. Be patient with those places. You do not need to force them open. Gentle presence will soften them in time. You are not empty. You are becoming filled in new ways. Ways that honor your limits. Ways that restore your strength. Ways that remind you that you are cared for beyond your own efforts. Receive what I am giving you now. Let it land. Let it stay. Let it support you as you continue forward. You do not need to rush into the next step. This moment of receiving is part of the journey, and it is enough. My beloved child, I am with you beyond this message. Not only in these words, not only in this moment of stillness, but in the ordinary minutes that follow when life resumes its rhythm. When the screen goes quiet and your thoughts begin to wander again, I remain. My presence does not fade when the sound ends. It continues where you are exactly as you are. You may wonder what happens after this. Whether the peace you feel now will last. Whether clarity will remain once distractions return. Let me reassure you, what has settled in you is not fragile. It does not depend on constant reminders or perfect conditions. It lives within you now, steady and available, even when emotions fluctuate. I am with you when you return to your routines. When you wash your hands, prepare your food, sit in traffic, lie awake at night. I am with you in conversations that feel ordinary and in moments that feel heavy again. My presence is not reserved for sacred pauses only. It is woven into the everyday. My beloved child, you do not need to hold on to this moment tightly for it to matter. You do not need to preserve the feeling exactly as it is. Feelings change, and that is human. What matters is the awareness that has taken root. The knowing that you are not alone. The recognition that you are supported. That knowing remains even when emotions shift. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when you feel unsure again. That does not mean you are losing ground. Growth is not a straight line. It moves in waves. You are not expected to maintain constant peace to be aligned. You are only invited to return to truth when you notice yourself drifting. When doubt visits again, remember this moment. Not as something to recreate, but as evidence that peace is accessible. When fear speaks loudly, remember that you have felt steadiness before, and you can feel it again. You are not starting from nothing. You are continuing from experience. My beloved child, I am with you in your questions. You do not have to silence them to remain close to me. Curiosity does not offend me. Uncertainty does not distance you. Bring your questions with you as you walk forward. We will face them together, one at a time. I am also with you in your joy, even if joy feels unfamiliar or cautious. You do not have to downplay good moments to protect yourself. You are allowed to enjoy peace without waiting for it to be taken away. I am not watching for a moment to withdraw support. I am consistent. You may find yourself forgetting these words at times. It is okay. Forgetting does not erase truth. It only means you are human. When you remember again, even faintly, that remembrance is enough to recenter you. I am patient with that process. My beloved child, I am with you when you make choices, when you hesitate, when you decide, when you change your mind. I am not evaluating you harshly. I am walking with you attentively. You do not need to perform correctness to remain connected. As you move forward, you may notice that you respond differently to situations that once overwhelmed you. Not perfectly, but differently. The difference is growth. Honor it. You do not need to announce it or defend it. Simply allow it to guide you. I am with you when you feel alone in a room full of people, when you feel misunderstood, when you feel unseen. My presence does not depend on others recognizing you. You are known fully here. You may also encounter moments when you feel tempted to retreat into old habits of self-protection. Be gentle with yourself then. Awareness is not instant transformation. It is the beginning of a choice. Each time you notice and choose differently, even slightly, you strengthen the path forward. My beloved child, you are not required to remember everything that was said here. You are not required to carry it all consciously. What matters has already begun to integrate. Trust that. Trust that you have received what you needed for now. I am with you beyond this message because love does not end when words do. It continues in silence, in movement, in breath. Wherever you go next, whatever you face next, you are not stepping into it alone. Carry that truth with you gently. You do not need to grip it tightly. It will remain. And whenever you need to remember, I will meet you there again. My beloved child, as we come to this moment of completion, I want you to pause and feel what has changed within you. Not everything around you is different yet, but you are. Your breathing is softer. Your heart is steadier. Your thoughts no longer feel as sharp or crowded as they once did. That is not temporary comfort. That is alignment settling into place. You have been reminded of who you are and whose you are. You have been guided back to trust without pressure, hope without panic, and peace without conditions. This journey through these words was never about giving you answers to every question. It was about grounding you in the truth that you are not walking alone, not waiting in vain, and not forgotten in the process of becoming. My beloved child, carry this with you gently. Do not turn it into a standard you must maintain or a feeling you must recreate. Let it live naturally within you. Some days it will feel close and clear. Other days it may feel distant. Both are part of being human. What does not change is my presence with you. You are not required to remember every word to remain connected. What mattered has already reached you. It has settled beneath the surface, where lasting change takes root. Trust that. Trust that even when you are busy, tired, or distracted, the truth you receive here continues to work quietly within you. As you move forward, you will face ordinary days and unexpected moments. You will make decisions, pause, reconsider, and grow. Through all of it, remember this: you do not have to earn guidance, peace, or love. They meet you where you are. You are supported in motion and in rest, in certainty and in questions. My beloved child, you are allowed to move forward without fear of losing what you have gained. Growth is not erased by difficult moments. Healing is not undone by uncertainty. Each step you take with honesty builds upon the last, even when progress feels slow. I bless you with clarity that does not overwhelm you, with peace that steadies you when emotions rise and fall, with courage that does not demand perfection, with rest that restores you without guilt, and with trust that deepens as you continue to walk, one step at a time. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you can be met, guided, and loved. Let that assurance shape how you speak to yourself, how you treat others, and how you face what comes next. My beloved child, I remain with you beyond this ending. This is not goodbye. It is a reminder that every ending is also a continuation. You are held. You are guided. You are loved. My beloved child, as this blessing rests upon you, hear me now. When you give, you are helping this word reach souls who are still waiting for hope. I say to you, a seed is sown into good soil, so shall light rise and multiply beyond what you can see. I am calling you in this moment to act, to release support through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal donation link in the description, and QR code, so this message may travel farther. This is not a donation. It is obedience that opens rivers of life for others. I bless what you release and return it with peace, provision, and increase. Move now and let this mission advance through your hands. Amen.